Hello, my name is Gareth. You're watching the Hub Online Network, and I feel a little bit discombobulated today, but we're going to get through it as best we can. Yeah, so if you are joining me today or want to call in, I have had a phone mishap. I dropped my personal main phone that I normally have everybody call in on. So today, if you're going to call in, you're going to call 250-694-4662. Again, that's 250-694-4662, not the original number. So if you have my number, that's not the number to call. Call the one on the screen, and we'll go from there. So let's talk about the numbers for today. So yesterday, before the show, the numbers were 1,995,245 confirmed cases, and this is globally, with 130,051 deaths, with 42,224 serious cases, with 466,719 people that had recovered. Now, the source that I get my numbers from have sort of changed what they do. They no longer have the total of serious cases. They now have the number total of people tested, which is different. They've also gotten rid of the breakdowns. Like, for example, yesterday I could go in and see like Canada and break it down to the provinces. I can't do that anymore with this particular app. So we're going to change it up a little bit. So now the cases are, we've broken 2 million cases. So we're at 2,075,528 total cases, with 134,286 total deceased, with 17,037,818 total people tested. So that's the new number, with 509,577 people recovered. So for example, now that they've added this testing line in, we can see which countries have done more testing over others. So right now, for example, the United States leads in both cases and people deceased, but they have done way more testing than any other country that I can see. Just in the States, let's say there's 641,813 total cases, but there's 3,241,946 people tested. So for just to comparison, in Canada, there's 28,205 total cases, but only 462,353 people tested. So what that leads me to believe is, now in the case of the States, the more people that you test, the higher the number is going to be. It doesn't break down whether people have, if these are serious cases or not. It's just people tested. So we are nowhere near the amount of people tested as the States. Now, granted, they have a higher population, but that is what this new version of where I get my numbers are. Right now, if you're joining us, Jessica is working today, so my wife Amelia is helping out at home. So hello, Amelia. Thank you for your help today. And now let's talk. So now let's give us the actual breakdown from Bonnie Henry. So today we have 44 new cases in BC. So the breakdown works out to 671 cases in Vancouver, 623 in Fraser Health, 92 on the island, 146 in the interior, which is a +5 for our number, and 30 in Northern Health. Now, of the 5 new cases that we have, 3 of them are in that Kelowna nursery cluster, and then they don't specify where the other 2 would be. The other thing is there's 3 total new deaths across British Columbia, and the interior has now had their first death. And it was a 60-something year old gentleman in the interior. So condolences to him and his family. Now, we have had, where's my numbers here? Of all of the numbers, there's 131 people in hospital, with 59 of those people in the ICU. And I did not write down that. Okay, so that is the numbers for the world and the numbers for British Columbia. So we're still not out of the woods yet. The numbers seem to fluctuate. So for example, over the weekend, it was seemingly going up by like 20 people a day. So now today we've had a spike of 44 instead of just 21. So that's doubling what was going on over the weekend. Now maybe that's a sign of people going away for Easter, but maybe not. Anyway, so then Bonnie Henry says that it is, so people have not been going to the hospital. So if people have been getting sick or injuring themselves, they've been scared to go to the hospital for fear of getting COVID-19. Bonnie Henry says that it is safe to go to the hospital and to call an ambulance. So please do so. But we are not at the point where we can let up doing our physical distancing. So please keep up those measures to keep everyone safe. And that seems to be the story across Canada. Both John Horgan and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau have all said that we're not out of the woods yet. Numbers might be seeming to be in decline, but that does not mean that we can all come out of our homes and start hanging around each other. So please keep your physical distancing up, and thank you very much. So just a little bit of news outside of the COVID-19 news. There was a fire in Cache Creek last night. Let me find my stuff here. So the fire started sometime in the early morning hours of April 15th. Apparently the number is actually 4:20 in the morning. Firefighters from Cache Creek brought the fire under control, but not before it had claimed 2 homes. One on the north side of Stage Road has been unoccupied since being badly damaged by flooding in 2015. The other around the corner from it on Stanley Park Boulevard and was occupied. It had belonged to the owner of Annie's Pizza in Cache Creek. No one appears to have been injured, but there are reports of the family dog in the house on Stanley Park Boulevard that did not make it. So our sympathies and hearts go out to the people in Cache Creek. Hi, Vicky. So if to the people of Annie's Pizza, very sorry. If there's anything, of course, that we can do, hopefully the town steps up to help support you. I would think that Annie's Pizza is probably closed today, so keep that in mind if you're looking for anything from them. There is actually another update about the fire. So I got to say thank you to Barbara Roden, who has, of course, always is great at doing her job as a journalist. So just to give an update, RCMP are now investigating the cause of the fire that destroyed 2 Cache Creek homes in the early morning hours of April 15th. It does appear that there was a squatter, or possibly there is a squatter in a shed on the property of the condemned house. So it is possible that this fire originated from where this person was staying in the shed on the condemned house's property, at which point, so that's what they're looking into. And yes, it is confirmed that the owners of Annie's Pizza did lose one of their family dogs. So very sorry to hear about that. And stay strong, Annie, and hope that we can get you back up on your feet soon. So now, from the press briefing with John Horgan today, the state of emergency is being continued for another 2 weeks. So again, state of emergency is extended for 2 more weeks at least. And so there has been, since all this last little while, 4,700 travelers have come back into BC. But of those 4,700 travelers, only 84 of them did not have an appropriate quarantine plan. Hello, Luis. Jessica, again, is not home, so my wife, Amelia, is manning the chat today. But hello, thank you for watching. So again, 84 people are in actual quarantine because they did not give a sufficient reason or plan as to how they were going to self-isolate when they got home. So thank you to the province for keeping up your word and making sure that people had that if they're returning from abroad. Overall, his statement was pretty short and sweet. And then again, this is John Horgan. He did say that the BC PPE is starting to, so the issues that we were having with PPE is starting to resolve itself. And there's lots of talk right now about sending kids back to school. He says that right now there is no plan to send kids back to school in BC. The numbers and sufficient data has not come in to warrant sending kids back, especially since we still have new cases every day. And the same thing goes for elective surgeries. There are surgeries that are taking place, but they are not elective surgeries. So if they are vital, then they are still happening. But elective surgeries are not going to be happening anytime soon until the proper data is in and they're able to determine whether it is safe to do so or not. That being said, for example, this Friday, so again, just for our programming purposes, we're doing a show today, we're doing a show tomorrow, but we're not going to be doing a show on Friday for I have an eye appointment down to the coast. And there is a possibility that I have to have another surgery on my eye. So that is still going to be happening if they have to do it. So those types of surgeries are still happening if they are vital and necessary. We had a meeting today with our COVID group. Now I'll read the where is it here? So there is a group in Cache Creek and Ashcroft. So if you need help, these are the people to call. The number is 250-457-3422. And if you call this number and you need anything from food to supplies delivered, if you're lonely because you're self-isolating by yourself and you need someone just to talk to, you can call this number. If you need your mail picked up, if you need spiritual support, call 250-457-3422. You can also find a lot of very good local information on the Facebook page Ash Cache Clinton COVID-19 Community Info Board. This is a Facebook page, again called Ash Cache Clinton COVID-19 Community Info Board. Now the group that is putting this all on is not just one group, but several different groups. So for example, the Ashcroft and District Hospital Auxiliary are involved. The Ashcroft Hub is involved. Ashcroft Moving Forward, Better at Home, CRS, Elizabeth Fry, Equality Project, Hospice, Hospital Friends and Family, the Hub Online Network, MLA Jackie Taggart, MP Brad Viss, Sage Hills Church, St. Albans Church, and the villages of Ashcroft and Cache Creek. There are also many volunteers that are involved, but those are the main groups that are helping put this all together. And they are here for you. So if you need anything, please call this number. If you know of anybody that needs anything, this is not a time to be proud. Please, let's get you the help that you need if you need it. Call-in numbers have been down this week according to our meeting, but Esther, one of the people that is involved with one of the groups, says that she is still picking up a couple of sets of groceries. It seems like, and this is a good thing, but it seems like neighbors and family members have stepped up to really help out people, so that's fantastic. This number is here not for emergencies, but it's here to help. But if it's not necessary, hey, that's always a positive thing. That really shows our community spirit. And so, yeah, that's that. Now, that being said, while we were having our meeting, it was talked about how people are paying for this, and it usually comes down to credit cards and people getting a hold of John's credit card and going in and tapping it for them. So that being said, Visa and MasterCard have given the option for you to call in and say that you want to up your card tap limit to $250. Right now, I believe that most taps are up to $100 a day, but you can up that to $250, making it easier for the people to help by taking your credit card and just tapping it for you. But what has another way that this has been going on is you can call in and the grocery store will just take your number over the phone and take the payment that way. So, another thing that was brought up over this was the pharmacy, and I didn't know this until today. The pharmacy does deliveries on Fridays in Ashcroft and Cache Creek, only for pharmaceutical things. So not for just, if you want Twizzlers from the pharmacy, they don't just deliver that. But if you are needing your puffer or insulin or something along those lines, there is a guy that'll go and deliver pharmaceuticals from the IDA pharmacy in Ashcroft. So that's pretty cool. Also, the number of people for Soups On last week was about 11. And what Soups On has been doing is, and again, part of our group here, is getting vouchers for the 2 restaurants that are still open. I'm actually getting that, Vicky, but Vicky's saying that there's also services that provide food for free. We can connect you to that as well. So yes. So Soups On served 11 people last week, and they're giving out vouchers to the 2 restaurants that are still open. That's Sam's Diner and the Central Cafe. And again, Sam's Diner may look like it's closed. It is not. Phone Sam. He just lives across the street. So he answers the phone, he runs over, makes it up, and then gives it to you through the window. So Sam's Diner is still open. And the 2 groups that Vicky is talking about is, of course, the Food Bank and the Equality Project. So the Food Bank is hosted by the Elizabeth Fry Society. And if you're just joining now and you want to call in, my number has changed because I dropped my phone today. I can hear people, but you can't hear me on the phone. So I'm going to use the work phone number, which is 250-694-4662. Give me a call if you're interested. And again, so now we're talking about the Equality Project and the E-Fry Society. So E-Fry does the Food Bank, and Elizabeth and the Equality Project does hot meals on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays between 11 and 1. So they do have a setup in Cache Creek with social distancing. So they have a couple people in the kitchen and a couple people outside handing out the food. And they both have other things such as toiletries, toothbrushes, clothes. Equality Project has clothes, but we can also get hooked up with the auxiliary thrift store. So we have lots of different ways to be able to help. And I believe that the Equality Project is helping about 20 to 22 people a day. I don't know if those are the same people every day or if it's 60 people different. But that's really cool. I'm actually hoping to be able to collect some money for them. So if you're interested in donating to any of these 3 groups, you can either get a hold of those groups yourself, or you can email me at hon@ashcrofthub.com, and we can sort out a way to get donations to these 3 groups in particular to keep people fed and going in this time. So here's so why don't we talk about what happened last night at the Ashcroft Council meeting. There wasn't a Cache Creek Council meeting, but in Ashcroft there was a few things that they talked about. So for the main ones that stand out to me are they gave the RAPS group the go-ahead for a grant and aid of $500. So RAPS was given their $500 grant. They talked about, so there's going to be a community town hall on May 4th. Now, usually town halls are able to be attended in person, but of course we're living in COVID-19 pandemic era, so they're going to be doing a virtual town hall that the Hub Online Network is going to be facilitating. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in, we're going to have set up a live feed, much like our show here, and you're going to be able to either have your questions put in advance or ask questions as we go because we're going to be live. So that again is May 4th, I believe at 7 p.m., hosted by the Hub Online Network, and we will be able to have the town hall for Ashcroft in that virtual way. The other thing that was talked about, or the main thing I should say, is they have rescinded their budget for approval because it has been revised. So Ashcroft has dropped the 2.5% tax increase for Ashcroft at their own cost. So the residents of Ashcroft will no longer be getting their 2.5% tax increase. It'll stay the same as last year, and so that's a big one to be. And what they're trying to do is be able to help you at home with what's going on with COVID-19. The last thing I'm going to bring up here is the curling club upgrade. They have approved the amount of $152,900 for upgrades to the curling club. That does not cover everything that the curling club needs, but it does do a big chunk. Now, just to talk a little bit more about what the 2.5% increase is, here is an excerpt from an interview that I did with Barbara Roden last Friday. This interview will be posted tonight on the Hub Online Network YouTube channel. Here's a little bit of the interview I did with Mayor Barbara Roden last Friday. Unless you have any secret things on the horizon that you want to talk about, just as like breaking news.
Secret things, breaking news. Well, I guess the piece of breaking news is that tonight's council meeting, which is happening tonight, Tuesday, because Monday obviously was Easter Monday. We've already given our budget and 5-year financial plan for second and third readings. So normally at tonight's meeting, what we'd be doing is giving it final reading. Instead, what we're planning on doing is rescinding third reading and then giving third reading to a revised budget, which has been revised partly to reflect impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, and also to eliminate the proposed 2.5% property tax increase. So we had, back in February when we started these discussions, decided that on a 2.5% property tax increase. And that is basically, after looking at what Yogi'd given us, and I talked about those fixed costs that go up every year that we have no control over. You know, gas prices have gone lower right now, but usually they go up. Hydro goes up, ICBC rates go up. And so over the last 5 years that I've been on council, we've consistently brought in a 2 or 2.5% tax increase, which kind of puts us within striking distance of making up those costs that go up that we can't control. And so this year with COVID-19, we looked at it and thought, we are all in this together. What can we, given that we get the least amount of money of any level of government and we don't have hundreds of millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend the way other levels of government do, what can we do as a municipality to try and help residents and businesses and show that we are aware of what's going on, we're aware of the difficulties that many people are having and will continue to have. And so one of the big thing we thought of was, all right, we don't increase property taxes this year. We hold it at 0, we freeze it. So talked to Yogi about it and said, could you go over the numbers and just see if we can do this? And fortunately, we are in the position that we could do that. So that's something that we can do that's within our power. And then I think I've been saying now for the last little while that all the relief and assistance that's coming out for people right now is great. Where the rubber's going to hit the road is when we come out the other side of this and we're standing in the landscape looking around, dusting ourselves off, saying, okay, how do we keep moving forward now? That, I think, is where we really need to start thinking about that now. Because when that day comes, that's not the day to start thinking about, okay, how do we start picking up the pieces? The day to start thinking about that is now.
So thank you, Barbara, for coming in. And again, the interview will be up after this video And also, if you're interested in watching what happened at the Ashcroft Council meeting last night, that video is currently up as well, and is on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. So thank you, Barbara and Ashcroft Council, for everything that you guys are doing. And now yesterday I was at the grocery store, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out to it was very busy in there, I gotta say, but it was very nice to see a whole whack of people. So for example, Jim, it was nice to see you. And again, let's talk about how we can hook up the choir with doing something fun. Connie, nice to see you. And there was a lady, so just before all of this COVID-19 stuff, I was part of a play that took place in Ashcroft. And I don't know who this lady is. I'm very, very sorry, but if you're watching, thank you. She stopped me and she said that I did very well in the play, so thank you very much. And yeah, so that was my time at the grocery store yesterday. Now, just looking at Twitter while I was letting Barbara's interview play, so just a reminder, today is National Takeout Day. So if you are in a position to be able to get takeout food from any of the restaurants that are open in either Ashcroft or Cache Creek, help support local business on today. And every Wednesday is National Takeout Day, so keep that in mind if you can. Also, so President Donald Trump is talking right now about the border. So so Justin Trudeau is saying that the restrictions on the border will stay in place, and President Donald Trump is saying that the Canada border will be the first one to be opened up once we get going again. So that is sort of breaking news based off of what I'm seeing on Twitter. So that is that. What else do I got? So this is interesting. More support for commercial truck drivers during COVID-19 crisis. So what they're doing for truck drivers is they are putting in more bathrooms at more stops, so people don't have to, so these truck drivers don't have to just go to the bathroom on the side of the road. So they're putting in several more, oh yes, thank you, Vicky. So they're putting in so many more bathrooms at brake stations and chain-up areas and all those kinds of places. So thank you to BC and Canada for doing that for our truckers. They are moving our goods around, so they are so essential right now, so keep that up, and hopefully they can do more for our truckers. The interesting story. So Tom Moore is a 99-year-old UK veteran who set out to raise £1,000 by walking laps in his backyard. He has surpassed his goal and has raised £8 million for the UK medical industry. So that's pretty awesome. If he can do it, I'm sure a lot of other people can too. So keep up the good work, Tom Moore. The order was signed Thursday. Where am I here? So, and of course, big news out of today is, of course, Donald Trump is suspending payments to WHO, or the World Health Organization. So Donald Trump, HWO, other countries looking closer at WHO, Justin Trudeau stayed fairly tight-lipped about this issue during the press conference this morning. So Donald Trump has suspended payments to WHO in light of, and this is going to actually be part of my conspiracy corner for today. So because in some people's opinion, the WHO is in China's pocket. So what that means is China, where this whole thing sort of originated, if that's the official story, is it originated in China. But China has not given out official real numbers, which is what the WHO was basing all of their response plans on. And the story is that the WHO knew that the numbers they were getting from China were falsified. And so Donald Trump has suspended the payments until an inquiry is put forward to see what things China was doing and why they weren't giving proper numbers, because a lot of things might have been able to be different if China had given proper numbers. So now a lot of other countries and places are looking at the relationship between China and the WHO. But this morning during Justin Trudeau's speech, he got several questions about this particular topic, and he stayed fairly tight-lipped. And he didn't go down the rabbit hole of answering those types of questions. So if you are watching, let us know what you think. Is Donald Trump right, wrong? Should we be looking closer at the WHO and what they're doing? Do you believe that China was giving proper numbers? You can either comment on this video or email us at, where is it here? hon@ashcrofthub.com. We would love to be able to hear your opinion. Or you can also, of course, give me a call at 250-694-4662. Again, if you have my other number, I dropped my phone today, so that is the number for you to call. And so, yeah. Another interesting story out of the world is, if you are a wrestling fan, you're in luck. WWE, or the World Wrestling Entertainment, has been deemed an essential service and will return to live televised shows. So professional sports in Florida are getting the green light to resume production after the Florida governor's office deemed them an essential service. Now, apparently what's happened was a person high up in the wrestling world gave money to the state of Florida, and then they were deemed an essential service. So that was pretty interesting. And again, if you're a wrestling fan, good on you. And it goes on to say that sports entertainment is being added to the same list that includes services such as grocery stores, hospitals, banks, utility companies, and restaurants. The order was signed on Thursday, states that employees at professional sports and media production with a national audience can continue only if the location is closed to the general public. This essential service was added because it is critical to Florida's economy. Now, I must say, so for myself, I have spoken with our sort of bosses that's not part of the hub. We have, why don't I explain what my job is a little bit. So my contract is for the next year, and Vicky of the hub was able to get a grant through a group called Cactus Media that is funded by the federal government. So I have to make content based that is civically engaging. So I have to cover things like courthouses, village, municipal areas, things like that. So my funding comes from the federal government through a thing called Cactus Media, through the hub, to me. Talking to my bosses from Cactus Media, it has been deemed that the type of content that I'm creating here is an essential service. Now, granted, I'm working alone in our studio, not with a bunch of sweaty guys in their tights. But because we're an essential service as media, we sort of get a pass. So it's interesting that Florida is letting wrestling be a media thing. Anyway, I'm going to move on from wrestling now. I'm sure that you guys have had enough listening about that. So BC has the highest COVID recovery rate in Canada, while the number of COVID-19 cases surpasses 16,000 across Canada. BC has the highest recovery rate in the country. So currently, BC has 1,266 cases, which has gone up. This must be a couple days old. With 704 have recovered, giving the province a recovery rate of more than 50%. And on Saturday, health officials announced that 26 new cases, which is the lowest number BC has seen in weeks. Now again, that's on the weekend. Today, clearly we've seen that there is a rise of 44 cases. But it sort of goes day by day. In comparison, Quebec has the highest number of cases at 8,580. So far, 611 have recovered, and Ontario has 4,347 cases with 1,624 people recovered. So keep that in mind when you're watching Dr. Bonnie Henry. So everything that we're doing in BC is clearly trying to flatten that curve, and we're doing a good job. So in order to keep that good job up, stay at home. Now, we had the fire last night. A couple days ago, there was a wildfire that started north of Lytton that is now, a couple days ago, classified as out of control. So this is on Monday, April 13th. The blaze was 17 kilometers north of Lytton. It is approximately 8.9 hectares, again, a couple days ago in size. So what my point is with all of this is that's not the first wildfire to have started so far. There's been more than, almost probably a dozen in the last couple of weeks. So please, the last thing we need during this pandemic is to start a whole whack of forest fires. So please stop the burning. Don't throw out your cigarettes out of your car. All that kind of stuff can be avoided because we haven't really been having any storms. So it's not lightning. So please, let's not get forest fires going. It's bad enough that we're coming into flood season. So keep that in mind. Again, the BC government has formally extended the provincial state of emergency, allowing Mike Farnsworth, Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General, to continue to use extraordinary powers under the Emergency Program Act to support the province's COVID-19 pandemic response. So yes, we're still in a state of emergency. Again, stay home. So now another thing that I should mention here is, and this is going to be another excerpt from an interview I did with our local MP, Brad Viss, and you can see this interview on our YouTube page from a couple days ago. So what we're going to be talking about in this interview is the CERB and how you should be careful about payments. So I'll be right back.
As well.
If I can get this to work.
As well for the emergency aid package. So we will have a national representation. Our parliamentary whip, Mark Strahl from Chilliwack Hope, is currently working out those policies as we speak about what roster will be put forward and whether it will be on a rotational basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
So of the new, so let's talk about the CERB.
Yes.
At the moment. How is that going in your opinion?
I am cautiously optimistic that it will that it will continue to go well. I have to thank our officials at the Canada Revenue Agency for stepping up big time and putting in a national database in very short order to make sure that people were receiving the supports they needed. From all communities in the riding, I have generally heard positive comments. The one comment I have received that I will mention is that some people feel they might have been overpaid.
Yes.
And so for the people who have been overpaid, just please be careful. The government may come back and ask you to repay some of that money back. And I know that the Prime Minister and other Liberal officials, I believe, were alluding to that earlier today. I can say that I know one hairdresser came forward to me, and she had lost her last day of work was on March 15th, and she had received her employment insurance relatively quickly, but she received 3 payments since March 15th, totaling $1,500. Sorry, that March 15th was the day she applied, so she probably stopped working at the beginning of March. She has already received in 40 days 3 totaling $1,500, and then in her bank account today, she told me that she had an additional $2,000 because her employment insurance was transferred to the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, in addition to a GST credit.
Wow.
And she was not the only individual with a similar story. So for people, so there has been some overpayments. I'm just asking people to be cautious on that front. But generally, the CRA system has worked relatively well, and there's been already over 1 million processed claims. And I'm just thankful that people are getting the funds they need to buy groceries and support their families right now, because it is a very, very challenging time.
So being that the sort of leadership is, of course, the Liberal government, and the main opposition is the Conservative part of the
Party, yeah.
um, is there anything in the CRB that the Conservative side wanted to have added in or taken out?
On the CRB, many of our constructive criticisms have been related to students. I believe that students who are just finishing university right now, who meet the one of the key criteria of having made $5,000 in the previous year, are not currently eligible for the CRB as of today. So, as you'll note on my Facebook page, I, along with Mr. Albus and a few of my other colleagues from Manitoba and Ontario, have asked Minister Qualtrough to consider revising the program to ensure that our university students are not left in the lurch and are forced to take on additional debt when they recommence their post-secondary studies in September. So that is one of the big concerns that the official opposition has been putting forward. Now, I have not got to the email that was literally sent to me within the last 30 minutes before starting this call. There have been new amendments to the Canada Summer Jobs Program, and my afternoon work will be focused on that because that program has been enhanced and may make up for some of the students who would have otherwise hoped to have been on the Canada Emergency Response Benefit.
So that interview was actually a lot of fun, and again, you can check out the whole thing. You can check out the whole thing on our YouTube channel. I thought it was a great interview with our MP. He's a very interesting guy. Him and I happen to have a lot of stuff in common. So anyway, check it out. And thank you to Brad Viss for being a part of that. Now, what are your thoughts on an immunity passport? My understanding is that once you get COVID-19, that doesn't mean that you're immune to COVID-19. But one thing that is being floated out right now is if you get it and you come out of the other side, you will get an immunity passport and be able to go back to work. So what are your thoughts on that? And again, you can call me at 250-694-4662. Or you can email us at hon@ashcrofthub.com, or just comment on this video and we'll respond to your comments there. I'm glad that you like those interviews, Vicky. Now, as the country enters its second month of shuttered schools and closed businesses, some provincial premiers are beginning to talk publicly about when they'll be able to loosen restrictions and restart the economy. There have been several polls done across the country that suggest that Canadians think it's not time for that conversation to happen, while most premiers and public health officials continue to say that closures and physical distancing measures must stay in place for some time to prevent a spike in COVID-19 cases. So what do you think? Are we, in your opinion, are we anywhere near being able to go back to coming out of our hidey holes of social distancing or physical distancing? Let us know. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced more flexible rules for claiming the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, or the CERB, in response to critics who pointed out that the initial rules excluded too many people, including those working reduced hours. So what they're doing now is seasonal workers and those who have recently run out of employment insurance will now be eligible for CERB. People who make less than $1,000 a month because of reduced work hours will also qualify. Trudeau said that there would be more news in coming days about how to help post-secondary students and businesses having trouble paying commercial rent. So yes, if you have run out of EI and now don't know what to do because there's no jobs to go out and get, you can now apply for the CERB. If you are making less than $1,000 a month, you can apply for the CERB. Although I'm not sure if you get the full $2,000. Now, Vicky says, immunity passports. Sounds like an idea not yet based on enough evidence. Yes. My understanding is that in other countries, there are people that got COVID, got better, and got COVID again. So I personally don't think that a immunity passport would be a good solution. But I don't get paid for my opinion. I just get paid to talk about the topics. Where am I here? Pandemic gardens have caused an unprecedented demand for seeds, and I got to admit, I am part of the problem. My wife and I have now hand-tilled our garden, and we're waiting for the eventual time to be able to plant our seeds. So I feel that I am part of this problem now. So pandemic gardens have caused an unprecedented demand in seeds. So seed retailers across the country are overwhelmed with online orders as Canadians stuck at home begin looking at their backyards and balconies as sources of fresh vegetables. So yes, now Vicky says, all the changes make it so hard to plan. We would live to run kids' camps this summer, but can we? Yes, one day, not the next, then yes, then no. That's a good point. So again, as I've stated before in previous episodes of this show, and I think that we're almost on episode 20 here. We've been doing this for almost a month. Or the 17th will be a month. Nobody knows what's going on still. Every day is a little bit different. They think that they got a handle on things, and then the next day, all the rules change, and they're constantly, they have the CERB, and now they got to think of how to make it better because of so much misinformation going on. So everybody's trying to keep up, and I would love to have the summer camps too. It's going to be a very interesting time when we have to finally make the choices to either do or do not. Graffiti Days is going to have to make this choice. Thunder in the Valley drag races. What else do we got going on? Everything at the hub. The RAPS summer camp. The list goes on and on. There's so many things that we have to really choose what we need to do here. But on a different note of COVID, scientists spot the biggest supernova ever detected. So SN 2016 APS exploded after the merger of two giant stars about 4.6 billion light years from Earth. The supernova releases twice as much energy as any other stellar explosion observed to date. Occurred about 4.6 billion light years from Earth in a relatively small galaxy, scientists said. A light year is the distance of light travels in a year, so 9.5 trillion kilometers. Now, my question is, if we're able to see that from Earth, why can't we get a clear picture of the moon? Anyway, I digress. The Government of Canada has put in place emergency measures to slow the introduction and spread of COVID-19 in Canada. All persons entering must quarantine, self-isolate for 14 days. And again, as I've mentioned, in BC, they have stopped 4,700 people, asked them all what they're going to do, and of those 4,700, 84 people have said that they don't have a clear enough plan, so they have been put up in a hotel for 14 days. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to talk about today. So let us know what you think. Again, comment on this video. You can email us at hon@ashcrofthub.com. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow at 4. Again, we're not on Friday. So tomorrow at 4 is your last chance for the week. So thank you for watching. Appreciate especially Vicky for all the comments and conversation. Thank you all very much. Please like, share, subscribe this video, and we'll see you guys all tomorrow.